Hi, everybody. Well, let me tilt that on. I'll turn the light on. Oh, there, that's better. Oh, now I can see better. Hello, hello. Hi. B. Boyle. I've been sewing for 50 years and never done a jelly roll quiz. Here goes nothing. I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm sorry I'm running a few minutes late. Can everybody hear me okay? I should probably make sure that we're good. And then we're going to get started because, oh, good, thanks. Because honestly, I'm not 100% sure how long this is going to take. I think, I'm pretty sure that we're going to do it in an hour. I'm trying to remember the last one I did, and I don't remember. Let's see. Okay, if you are just joining the live, be sure to come on and say hello. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and start. And then as people come on, they can say hello. And dashboard. I just love how many apps and things you have on your phone. My goodness. Order. See? I was running about 3 minutes late because right at the last minute, as I was about to hit the go live button, Minnie decided that she had to go to the bathroom. Okay, I think we're good. I think we are all set. At there. Okay, so this is one of the very first quilts I did, but I actually did all the way to a quilt. Pretty sure. You know, all the way to being finished, not just a square. Was a jelly roll race, and I think it's one I still actually have in my guest room. All these things that have in my guest room, I don't know why. If you come to my house and you stay the night, you'll be quite warm. Okay. So the great thing about a jelly roll race is you really don't have to worry about much, because at the end, because of the way that you sew it, it all just staggers out. It staggers its lines out just by the nature of how you sew it. So, because at first, the first time I did it, I was like, well, aren't you just going to have like color, you know, all these long strips? But when you start cutting it up, it all makes sense. So, here's what you're going to do. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to sew all our strips together. Now, I saw somebody do this once, and they did the whole thing in like 45 minutes sewn. They did the sewing part, you know, the top piece part. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sew all of our strips together just on end. So take your first two strips, and we're just going to sew them together at the short end here, okay? Yahoo! Oh, I got nothing done this morning that I was planning on doing. So, like quarter-inch seam. Pretty standard. Quarter-inch seam. Press Prep for eternity. Homestead, good morning. Hi. So what I'm going to do, oh no. Okay. My top thread just came undone. And let's just find something. And I don't have an extra bobbin. Okay, that's okay. I'm going to change my top thread now, just because I don't think there's enough on there to do this thing. So I think I'm going to use a really small stitch so my stitches don't come out. Hi, Becky. Yeah, small. You can use a small stitch. I've done the first one that I did. I had no idea what I was doing, so I didn't. And to be honest with you guys, that's one part of this craft that I haven't spent a lot of time cultivating. When I got my machine a few years ago, all I really wanted to do was sew, and it was during COVID, and it was hard to get appointments for things for service, and so everybody was like, "Oh, come back after COVID." Well, after COVID, everybody went and had to go back to the real world, and I didn't take the classes. It was not smart. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But so the point of that is, like, when to use a small stitch, when to use a larger stitch. I'm not the best person to ask for that because I don't know. But yeah, I think that a small stitch would probably be good, except for the fact that on the first jelly roll race I did, I used a larger stitch, and I haven't had any problems. And on this one, I'm using a smaller stitch because the last time my mom was here, she had me fix some things for her, and she wanted the stitches smaller, and so I never changed it back. Okay, who else is here? MD Fashion Designer. Hi, sister. Hi. So glad everybody's here. Okay, we're gonna start. So you've got your jelly roll. I don't have the rest of my info up. So this is the Moda. So yesterday I had some comments, and I'll tell you exactly who, so I can give her the right props. Sandra. So Sandra had mentioned that she loves this line, and I didn't realize that it was a recurring line, but I guess that makes sense. KT Favorites. This is KT Favorites 2019, and I think she does. This is KT Favorites 2019 by Kansas Troubles Quilters, and from what Sandra the way she commented, I have a feeling that she does like a lot of these. They're like Midwest, Moda Kansas Troubles. I think there's new releases all the time or every year. They're really cool. This one has kind of a prairie look to it, kind of a Civil War prairie type look to it. I really like it. Anyway, so here's what we're gonna do. Take your jelly roll, and you're going to. I just use them right as they come off the roll. That's I think this is my third. But I just use them right as they come off the roll. I don't, because it's gonna, once you start getting to the end and cutting, and you'll see when we get going, it's not gonna make a difference. And I think it's fun to see the pattern kind of develop. Anyway, so take your first two pieces. The first run, we're gonna sew all of the strips together end to end. So short end to short end, we're gonna make this one unbelievably long trail. Okay, ready? I'm so glad you guys are here. How exciting. Okay. So, do that one. Now, obviously it's faster, and if you're an experienced sewer, maybe as I get going, this will get better. And I just let it fall down. I just let it fall down. So, well, I take that back. For a while, I either let it pool on my table or on my lap, because otherwise it'll start dragging off, because you're only sewing these little strips and they'll just pull each other down. See? Now, I also think that you could do this kind of, I think when I saw Jenny from Missouri Star do it, I think the first time I saw her do it, and I'm kind of cheating on this first one because you have the salvage edge. So I'm really just using the salvage edge as kind of part of my guide. I'm going about 1/4 inch from the salvage edge. So I'm just sewing them together, right? Right sides together. But you do want to make sure that you don't sew a 1/4 edge. Don't sew. Hi, Madeline from New Jersey. Do not sew a 1/4 inch from the edge. Do not sew a 1/4 inch from the edge. Sew a 1/4 inch. If you're using the salvage edge as your guide, you have to sew a 1/4 inch in from there, because that will show on the quilt. You don't want that. Okay. Anyway, the time that I saw Jenny from Missouri Star do this, I think you could, let's try and do one. I think you could kind of, I always forget what they call it, but I think you kind of could, Becky knows, when you sew one attached to the other, my grandmother used to call it, piecework, or I don't remember what she called it. These are so pretty. Oh my gosh. These are really pretty. Oh, I'm glad I went with this one. I was going to save this one. Of course, I bought it 5 years ago, or 5 years ago. I don't know what I was saving it for. So what you could do to make it go faster, instead of having to stop, cut, and reload each one, is just sew them all together. Okay, that one, I'm going to cut here because I couldn't see the salvage edge. You see what I mean? Like, I sewed these last few ones together, and then you can just snip them apart. But this last one, I'm going to resew. So the time, like I was saying, they call it a jelly roll race. We're not really racing, in case you were wondering. But you're just going to do the same. We're going to sew everything together. When we get to the end, we're going to then cut it in half. Sew those together. I think because you would just keep doing this, that's why they call it a race. Maybe it's the Quilter Olympics. I don't know. Maybe we're supposed to be racing. What I like best about this quilt, I don't know about you, is it's pretty mindless. Sometimes like especially if you find like a good deal on a jelly roll or a strip set, or, I think it's cool when they're all, Kansas Troubles is great. So is Kansas Troubles, if somebody can type back, it's hard to sew and type at the same time. So do they come out with a new one every year? And is it always by Moda? And I'm assuming it's always by Moda. I'm assuming that's the contract with Moda. Oh, this is much faster. Okay, So I don't think I've ever done it like this before, and this is much faster. Just sewing them all together. Let me see if I can tilt you down. Oh, there. I have to use, so I'm doing a live because I can't see everything. I'm doing the live on my computer, my desktop. And I wasn't sure how much I could put. Oh, that's pretty good. Cool. So I've never done it where I just sew all the pieces together, you know, without cutting, lifting my needle, blah, blah, blah. I'm just sewing them all together. And this is it's much easier because one, you don't have the whole thing falling. And number two, it goes a lot faster, especially on this first round. In the subsequent rounds, it won't matter because we're going to be sewing long runs of sew. Let's see. Happy Sunday to everybody. Steve is out. Steve went to play in a golf tournament this morning. Left crazy early. Well, crazy early for us. So we're not super early risers. We're up very late, but we're not super early risers. But this morning, we were up at like 6:30. I'm share all my secrets now. Let's give a thumbs up. Hi, Becky. God, this is so okay. You guys have me hooked now. All the people that have said how great Kansas Troubles is. Now I'm gonna go in hunt of. I mean, I need more fabric, like you know what I need. But I'm gonna go and find more of this because now that I've actually opened this jelly roll, oh my gosh, what unbelievable patterns! Oh my goodness, I'm in love. I'm in love. So anyway, he left super early. So we're still just sewing. You're just sewing one strip to the other. You're just making like one long 2.5-inch strip. Because some people have never done this before. If you've done this before, how fun is this? So I fixed him some snacks and stuff and breakfast and got him out the door. And I had great plans. And this happens to me quite frequently on these killer early mornings, especially on the weekends, like when he goes to play in a tournament or something. Okay, here's my plan. I was going to have my coffee in bed until 8 o'clock. Then I was going to do a bunch of ironing, marinate a flank steak. Kansas Trouble lines keep their colors pretty standard so that you can use old and new. Oh, fantastic. Wow. These are way smarter than I am. You know, way more stuff. Okay, that's very cool. Okay, this afternoon, I think, I'm going to have to look up some more of this line from more years, because this is just so every once in a while, if you're not sure and if you're sewing on that near that really close to that salvage edge, living and crafting with MS. Hi. I'm sorry I forget everybody's names. I remember your handles, but I forget everybody's individual names. So I had big plans for this morning. I was going to get up at 8, have my coffee, get up at 8, get ironing done. Marinate a flank steak for tonight. Get ready for this. have all my ironing and laundry and stuff done by the time I got here. Feed Minnie, take Minnie for a walk, come here, be here like, you know, super early. Alex, hi Alex. Sorry, I have to keep stopping to read the comments. And then do our live, then run to the store real quick. All very relaxed and sensible Sunday morning. Then I was going to come back and finish tax work. I'd rather sew my fingers into this quilt than do tax stuff. Seriously. So after he left at 6:30, at 7, I got a cup of coffee, and I sent him a message, and I said, I'm just gonna sit down. I'm just gonna sit back in bed for just a few minutes. I fell asleep. And I'm so mad at myself. Can you imagine why I was so mad at myself? Because now all the ironing is still there. Oh, I still have to do the ironing. Which I don't really mind. It's just that I got a bunch of other stuff that's gotta get done today, like the tax work. Is there anything worse? It's just... Okay, how's everybody coming along? For those of you that are sewing. For those of you that are not sewing, okay, just here working on an 18th century corset that will have a lone star and will be quilted. Well, at least I hope it will work. Oh, wow. So you guys are working on some amazing things. You have to, when Steve posts the replay of this, or maybe it automatically posts, but I'm going to have him in tomorrow's video. I'll have him put up the Facebook page, so that you guys can, so that for those of you that are new or haven't been to the Facebook page before, can go and post your pictures of what the things you guys are working on. Oh my gosh, how amazing. I'm not that creative. I think myself pretty creative. I'm not that creative. You guys do amazing, amazing things. Oh, Angela, surely you have a good. I gotta roll another bobbin. This one is seriously close to being done, so I'm just gonna roll it now. I mean, run it now. Okay. Put that on. Should it thread out. So it's really getting. I tell you what, we had a very short. It was a very weird spring. It just kind of it kept hovering between like really cold days and really nice days, and then it's like bam, summer skier. I mean, it's not really here, but it's been. So for those of you that don't know, we live in Central Florida. Okay, let's see. You need to discover wrinkle-free clothes. Best comment of the day. I'll tell you why I'm always ironing. Oops, I mean the corset to go with my 18th century jacket that will be quilted with a lone star. That sounds, Alex, that sounds very, very cool. Very, very, very cool. Madeline says she's sitting here working on a quilt. It's not my usual. It's all being done by hand. Wow. That's amazing. So here's some of you have probably done, whoa. Well, I was sewing a button on for Steve the other day, and I'm not gonna lie, my fingers just do not feel. And I've got a thimble around, a couple of thimbles. I've got a leather one somewhere around here, but my fingertips, it just kills, and I don't seem to have the strength in my fingertips to, like, I don't know. I am so in awe of any of you guys that do any type of hand quilting or that kind of thing. My fingers just, I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out how to resolve that, because I guess I need to practice. Like, I've also wanted to do some needlepoint, try my hand at some needlepoint, and I'm just really bad at hand stitching. And I think it's just some of the kind of thing you have to do. You have to practice at, and I don't. Okay, that was the problem. My top thread couldn't undone. I've been wanting to make a quilt jacket for the longest time on the menu. Yeah, okay. Hands off to Madeline for her. She's doing a hand quilt. Yeesh. So Madeline, are you you're doing the whole thing by hand, or are you doing the quilting? Not that it matters, because either one is amazing. Are you doing the quilting by hand? Or are you doing, it's all being done by hand? Or is you doing the whole thing, like even the, oh my goodness. It's just amazing. Okay, now we're rethreaded. I haven't changed the bobbin yet, that's okay. So needless to say, this morning was just a total flop. And then right before I was gonna go, I was supposed to come on here, obviously running late, not having done any of the other things I needed to get done. I'm just tired. And I think I'm getting another bit of a sinus. It's not really a sinus infection, just kind of my sinuses are just very swollen. Anyway, right before I was supposed to come on here, Minnie had to go potty. Minnie, do you want to come in here, Minnie? Come on. Come on. I think she's sleeping in the other room. So, we'll see. The whole thing. She's doing the whole thing. Oh my gosh. Okay, comment of the day goes to B. Boyle. You need to discover wrinkle-free clothes. And quilt of the day goes to Madeline. Holy cow. The whole quilt by hand. Ah, there she is. There's Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Okay, and Sandra, because you were the first one yesterday to make a comment about the Kansas Troubles. Is that what it's called? Kansas Troubles Favorites? Kansas Troubles Quilters? Fabric. I decided to use that one for today. And as soon as I opened this one, I realized how amazing. I'm sorry, there's something in my eye. How amazing this is. Okay. And I did discover, yes, please like, subscribe, and share. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell so you know when new stuff comes out. Right now, for those of you that don't know, we're in our 30-day, we're doing a 30-day run. 30 days, 30 videos. And I have to admit, I'm having so much fun. I've already, in just a few days, done stuff that I've wanted to do that I haven't done. We did that really cool pillowcase yesterday. With those panels, with those Aurora Borealis panels. Yeah, it came out. I hope, go back and watch the video. It came out so cool. But yes, like, subscribe, and share. Invite, if you know other people or other quilters, or if you have a quilting group, a guild, have them come join us. You'll probably give me tips. Okay. I love the line of Kansas Trouble. It's always fabulous. So yes, everybody has commented as soon as I brought up that that's the fabric we were doing. Everybody has said, so I'm going to go and find some more of these today because they are amazing. Oh, Bee Boyle has her dog Burley sleeping under her sewing table. Minnie loves to take advantage of times like this when like Steve's gone and it's really quiet. Because when he's home, she loves to be with him and play with him and be outside with him. So on days like this when I'm in here sewing, she'll wander in here for a little while and sleep, especially if I'm the only one home. But a lot of times she'll stay in the living room where it's just, you know, it's like super quiet, it's super cool. She does love it. She wasn't excited about getting up early this morning for Steve to leave. She's not a morning. She is. If we're not morning people, sorry, I gotta read comments real quick. You can go out of the live for a moment, click like, and come back. Oh. I mean, not that I'm going anywhere, but I bet Angela will wait for us. Oh. I haven't tried that. I'm afraid to try that. Steve went over with me the instructions on how to go live, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do that, and then I'm not going to hit any other buttons. Because he does all this stuff. Okay, so unfortunately, because I didn't get all the stuff I wanted to get done this morning, I didn't get anything done this morning. And truth be told, it wasn't even like great sleep. You know, I just wasn't really feeling restful. Anyway, that has nothing to do with quilting. But now, I still gotta do the ironing, I still gotta do the taxes, and I still have to get the flank steak. I think I'm gonna do I'm doing a flank steak for the first time. I'm gonna marinate it today. And then throw it on the grill. I found a really good marinade recipe. And I'm hoping it works because I don't think I've ever done a flank steak before. And if I have, see, I'm originally from California. And on the West Coast, we have tri-tip. Like that's the go-to for if you're gonna barbecue a good piece of meat. If you're gonna throw something on the barbecue, I mean, I'm sure flank steak is too, or you know, like skirt steak, stuff you throw on the grill type meats. But for us, it was always tri-tip. So if we wanted to like barbecue something on the weekend, or you were gonna have a big party or whatever, and you had a lot of people to feed, you did tri-tip. Like it's just. And it's not, I've had one butcher tell me that there was another cut of meat that he sold me one time, and he was like, oh, it's super close to tri-tip. And I was like, we cooked it, and it's not. But the store that I was at yesterday didn't have tri-tip. And when we moved to Florida, I went to the grocery store and I went to the meat counter and I was looking for a tri-tip roast, and there was none in the case. So I went to the butcher and I was like, are you guys out of tri-tip? And he was like, looked at me like I had just grown another head, and he didn't know what I was talking about. And so we went through that whole shebang, and And finally got our, then he thought I meant a tri-tip steak. I didn't mean a tri-tip steak. I wanted it's a tri-tip roast. And you grill it on the grill, and you slice it up. It's unbelievable. It's so good. So now they're a little bit harder to find too, because it's not as popular. But it's out here in Florida, in the South, they do more brisket or pulled pork. Pulled pork's huge. My husband loves pulled pork. I love pulled pork, but pulled pork and it's just all different, you know. Okay, so what are we doing? We've sewn the whole strip set together. Okay. So now we just have this really long. It's like unfurling a ribbon, a roll of ribbon. You just have this one huge long thing of strip. They're sewn end to end, right? All together. Gosh. Strip set, right? Showing them in a strip set? No, not a strip set. When you sew all the pieces together like this, right? And you don't lift your presser foot. I'm trying to remember what that's called. What time is dinner? Well, God, if it goes the way that the day is going, dinner will probably be at about 11 o'clock tonight. So I'm going to marinate it, and then hopefully, I think the last time I did it, I think I either didn't have my grill hot enough, or I don't even remember how I cooked it. Maybe I tried to do it in the house. Grill's best. So tonight we're going to throw it on the grill. I think we're all going to be tired, and it's going to be an easy peasy dinner. So that's that. Okay, now that we've solved the debacle of flank steak and tri-tip, now I'm just cutting all these apart. Chain piecing. Chain piecing. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. It's not really dry here. It's getting very humid, but I do like my new clippers. Okay, so we have, thank you, Madeline, chain piece. The chain piecing made a huge difference. Otherwise, even just this first step would take me forever. Okay. However, I will say, if you don't chain piece it, you don't have this step where you gotta come all apart. But there's no stopwatch on this, ladies. Here we go. Okay. For those of you that are ages and ages beyond doing your first or doing a jelly roll race, well, there's a couple people on here that have never done one before. So I hope you're sewing along. I hope you're having fun. I don't know where you're at in the process if you've gotten through the first step. I watched a video one time of Jenny Down, and I don't know if I'd have to go back and watch it, but they said like she did in like 45 minutes. Okay. I think I said we were going to be able to do it in an hour. We're not going to be able to do it in an hour. It's already 12:15. And stop and do a bobbin, blah, blah, blah. And figure out what I was doing with this. But we're going to get through a few steps. And once you get through the second or third step, it all makes sense. And it actually goes, this is probably, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but I think that this is probably the longest step because you're doing all of these tiny individual, right, strips. Okay. Now, if you just do them on the floor there, okay? Okay. Now, you're going to go down the row, and you have to kind of, I learned this the hard way. You kind of have to make sure that you just, that everything kind of stays, in line, that it stays, I don't know how to describe it. You want to make sure that they're all right side up, that there's not twists and things. Because if you have twists and things, I guess ultimately you can untwist it from the other end, but I don't know. I try and make it a little bit, I'm trying to, you want to get to the end. So I'm trying to make sure that that it's pretty straight, right? And then I'm just letting it kind of fall on the other side. So we're just going to now get to the other end. So I have the first end here in my one hand, and we're just going to get to the other end. What a pretty, see there? Pretty fabric. The only thing with a jelly roll race, if you use a strip set, of course, anytime you use a jelly roll race, anytime you use not a strip set, a jelly roll, it just makes a mess. But I do have to, I'm in the sewing room today too. See, I wish I hadn't fallen. Do you ever have those days where I was just tired? It was early and it wasn't really dark anymore by the time he left, but it was just, the bed was just calling my name. And I crawled back in and I fell asleep, and I fell asleep a lot longer than I wanted to. And I was just so disappointed. I just wanted to get a bunch of stuff done, and I am not, okay, hold on 1 second. Well, don't hold on. You don't need to go anywhere. All right, let's see here. I don't know why that term just has escaped my head. Okay, now. Try not to roll over at all. Whole thing down here by my feet. Okay, so now I have the two ends. Okay, the two ends. And now your strips are sewn together. Oh, be boiled, great! Haha, good job. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we are gonna sew the two ends. So you have the two ends, right? I'm trying to explain this, and so I just keep saying the same words over and over again. Now that we have one long strip set, now we are going to sew down the side. So now we're going to sew these. We're going to sew basically the front and the back together, right? So, and it will make sense because when we get to the end, we're going to snip it. We're going to cut it in half. So we're going to start sewing, and it's funny because it's just this constant hum of your sewing machine because you're going to sew all the way to the end. Okay. This is the exciting part when you start the second half, and now it goes faster. Okay. So you got your two ends together, right? Now we're going to sew the front and the back. We're going to sew the front and the back basically together. Now I'm going to be honest. Just give me a second. While Bee Boyle gets her strip all. Is anybody else on here doing this for the first time? Comment if you are on here doing your first jelly roll race. Okay. So it makes me nervous to start sewing this without having it kind of stretched out a little bit, because I feel it just feels a little bit weird to me. So I think what I'm going to do, you know what I mean? Like, I'm afraid I'm going to, no, but I wish I was. Prep for Eternity Homestead. You wish you were doing a jelly roll race for the first time? It's fun. I've done a couple of these things and they're still fun. This is more fun with you guys here. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of lay this on my leg, you know. I'm not keeping it like really, you know, nice and tight. I'm just kind of trying to keep it flat, you know, instead of a big mess on the floor. Because I'm afraid, I'm afraid I'm going to start to get sewing and I'm going to have stuff twisted all wrong. So let's just get some of this organized. Don't have any jelly rolls. If you have a twist, can't you snip it at the end? Yes. If you have a twist, when you discovered the twist, you could just cut that strip, untwist it, sew it together, and then carry on. So yes, you could do that. And for however you find it faster to kind of get sewing again, that's what I would suggest. So like that's kind of a weird twist here. But yeah, you could just, so if I were sewing down like this, and all of a sudden I realized that this piece here was twisted, I could just cut the strip there across the 2.5 inch side, right? And then untwist it and sew that piece back together and then continue on. What do you do with the seams when you come to them? What do you do with the seams when you come to them? Open. Oh! That's an excellent question. I think what I have always done, and unfortunately, oh! No, that was jelly roll. And the other one that I have here is already, you know, quilted and backed and quilted. I think I just lay them to one side because they're all going to be staggered and they're relatively far apart from each other. I think what I have done with the seams, just for ease. Now, could you open them? Yeah, I think you could open them. If you like an open seam better. But yeah, there would be less bulk. I think you should, whatever you're most comfortable with. Steve said he didn't see the live. We're on. We're live. Send him a picture. Okay. So that's a very good question. I think open might be really good. Okay, I'm gonna let the rest of that go because this is taking me forever. Wait. And like I said, it's been a little bit since I've done one, so I don't remember exactly how I did that. And I didn't watch another tutorial last night because I kind of basic concept of it. Okay, so now we're gonna start sewing down the side. This is so awesome. Thanks, Sandra. This is so much fun. This is just so much fun. Okay, so foot down. Okay, ready? Just kidding. So I just without pulling on it, you know, without increasing the tension. So just kind of like a ribbon feeder almost here. I just go. I just make sure that it stays. Again, I have that 1/4 inch mark on my machine, but however you measure your 1/4 inch, I mean, I'm like I hardly have to touch it. I just kind of keep it guided along there, and then keep it feeding together, kind of straight down here. So I'm kind of controlling it down here. Oh, and somebody commented that they didn't have. It was it Alex? No. Yes, Alex. Don't have any jelly rolls. You don't need jelly rolls. You don't need a jelly roll. They call it a jelly roll race, but you don't need a jelly roll. So if you have, you could do this. It would just take you, the first step would take you a little bit longer. I was just thinking about this the other day. The first step would take you a little bit longer, but you can do it. The first step where you're sewing the stuff together end to end. But like, let's just say that you had a bunch of, I don't know, fat quarters. There's a quilt by, I think it's, I want to say Primitive Gatherings, but I don't think that's right. It's by Lisa. Anyway, and it's called either My Sister's Garden or Lisa's Garden. And then there's another, I'm just botching the story. Anyway, there's this one quilt pattern that I bought years ago, and it works off of fat quarters, but the whole quilt is different fat quarters. So you need like a pretty good fat quarter stash. So I started putting together the fabric for this quilt. And then I started reading the instructions. I kind of lost a little bit of my enthusiasm. It's very complicated. I would probably go back to it now, but I mean, this was like when I first started sewing. Anyway, so I ended up with a lot of fat quarters. I mean, I would buy any fat quarter anywhere, if it was reasonably priced, because I was kind of trying to build my collection for this one particular quilt. Well, if you had a bunch of fat quarters like that, you could cut them. Your strips, I don't think would be, obviously they wouldn't be, full length of the same length as a jelly roll length. But you could cut the jelly roll into 1/4 inch strips, mix up the 1/4 inch strips, make yourself a jelly roll race. You could take, if you had some old or inexpensive bed sheets, I don't see why you couldn't do that. I just don't see why you couldn't do that. You could do it with yardage too. If you did it with yardage, miles of fabric. I know. There's like the first couple of rounds while you're sewing this stuff together, it's kind of funny because there's just miles upon miles upon miles. There's just strip everywhere. In fact, you have to be careful, especially if you have a chair with wheels. You have to be careful that you're not wheeling it all over your strips. But I think this is a great Sunday quilt. Like if you just want to get it, if you don't want to have to think about it, I think that's sometimes, if I will leave you with anything, you can use fat quarters to make a jelly roll and it'd be awesome. Cut 2.5 inch strips and sew together the same way. Same thing. A jelly roll is correct me if I'm wrong, or if somebody can Google it, or you guys probably know. You guys probably don't have to Google it. I think a jelly roll, all told, is about 3 yards of fabric. So if you had 3 yards of fabric, you know, it doesn't have to be as scrappy as a jelly roll. As a jelly roll, if you're using a jelly roll, you know, it's going to be pretty scrappy. It's going to be all kinds of different fabric. But it doesn't have to be. You could have 3 or 4 fabrics, call it a day. Now, I keep calling her B because it's fun to do. I just have too much to do. I'm going to make more. I know. So much. So much started. And would you guys believe that I have not yet done the last 2 rows for the rag quilt? Now, the only thing I'll say is I'm not opening my seams. I opened the first one, but it's kind of, and if you're an experienced quilter, it's probably faster and easier for you to do that, but slowing me down. I really want to get through this first round at least before we leave. My fabric is so wild. You'll never see my mistakes. Oh, there's my bobbin calling. Right. Okay, bobbin. And we're off. We're all rowing in your boat. So many ideas, projects, so little time. Don't I know it? But here's the fun thing. Oops. Hold on, what's happening? The fun thing about a project like this and going live with you guys and doing these videos every day is it's giving me a chance to get some sewing done and make time for it amongst everything else. Because right now the only thing I got to work in is a little some exercise time. You ever have those years where you're just like, what's catching here? Tail from the bobby. Okay. I had a little excess piece of thread that was getting stuck in there. Okay. You know, there's so much change this last year. So many different things that we were dealing with that sometimes some things have to take a back seat. You know? And that's okay. As long as you, at some point, put it back in the front seat, right? So one thing that really fell by the wayside was taking time to exercise or, you know, let's be honest, Minnie weighs 7 pounds, and she's a little bit on the lazy side. Her idea of a walk is literally we go half a block up one side and half a block down the other. So it's not really much of a workout for me. The only time I break a sweat is when it's 90 degrees outside. So gotta get that back going. I also will say this. Sometimes with quilting, and you guys can tell me if you think I'm wrong. Sometimes with quilting, when you have very involved projects, I kind of look at quilting two ways. If you have a really involved pattern, sometimes it's good because if you've got something on your mind or something that you're working through or something you're worried or stressed about, it's good because you get the chance. This is fun to do together. I'm not in a guild. Yes, this is my guild. Okay, that was very funny that you said that. B, you have to tell us your first name because I just keep calling you B. Unless you let me just keep calling you B. If you're working on, yes, I don't have a guild. And I'll tell you why I don't have a guild. Because I feel like if you're in a quilt guild, maybe I'm wrong, I've never been in a quilt guild before. I like going somewhere to quilt together. And I'm sure there's a lot of online quilt guilds and stuff like that now. But I feel like you should be responsible to the quilt guild, to do, if you guys are working on a joint quilt, or again, I don't know how everything works. If you're working on something together, or you're gonna show up physically every week or every month or however often you go. Sometimes selfishly, I feel like I don't know if I can commit to that. But never mistakes, just personal touches. Love it. Betsy. So that's why I've never, and I'm sure there's a quilt guild near here, but a lot of the quilting stuff is a little bit of a ways from here. If I was going to actually go to a quilt shop for a quilt guild, whatever, I just couldn't commit to it. With work and everything else, I really couldn't. But I'm sure enjoying sewing you guys. I don't even know what we're doing anymore. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, it's been on like an hour. I want to get to the end of this one. So I'm going to get to the end of this first sew together, right? How the heck did she do this in 45 minutes? Betsy's probably ahead of me by now. I want to get to the end of this one and show you how at the end where you cut it, and then, then we'll kind of wrap it up from there. I gotta go marinate this flank steak. Otherwise, it's not gonna marinate. I know what I was saying. Sometimes when you're working on a really complicated quilt, I think the good thing about it, especially if you have other things on your mind, is it kind of takes you out of your mind. It stops you from obsessing about something, or it just kind of gives you a break, right? Think about something else. That isn't what they always say. However, sometimes when you have a lot of things on your mind and you need time to work them out in your mind, this is what I've always said about my sewing room. Sometimes it's good to just come and sew something that's almost so mindless that it allows your brain, I think, the time to kind of sort those other things out. That's how I have felt about my quilting room a lot this past year. Is it has really been a place for me to come, and even if I'm just going to tidy it up, even if I don't sew, it's just kind of a place for me to come and, I don't know, work out in my head the things that are coming at me. You know, it doesn't always have to be, for me, a lot of this stuff, for me, a lot of times these things, never-ending row of, for me, a lot of these things have to do with our business, with our insurance business. Yeah. And how things change, and you know, the things that have to be done, and you know, all blah 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 blah, right? But for a lot of you, it could be other things, you know. I mean, if you're retired, it could be, you know, things that you worry about with your family, or with your kids, or with your finances, or, you know, with your health. And so sometimes I think that it's part of the reason that I've never been like a team sports type person. I never played like, you know, I had girlfriends that in school that played softball, or I'm trying to think of the other sports that we had. I went to a girls' high school, so I don't remember other than softball, volleyball, basketball. I've never played team sports. It wasn't my thing. I was more of an introvert, and so I always gravitated towards things where they were things that I could enjoy and thrive on my own. And I think that's why, as I've gotten older, why quilting has become, you know, it's just an extension of that. It's an extension of something that allows me that time in my own brain. Enough ramble. But I'm telling you, right? Is this one of those quilts? Like, this is one of those quilts that you just set it on the machine, and yeah, I think it's also like if you're wanting to watch a movie, or if you're really wanting to relax, it's a great quilt for that. And the outcome, I think, is really fun because you get to see a bunch of the pattern to the fabric. You know, sometimes on some of these quilts, sometimes on some of these quilt patterns, you take a beautiful piece of fabric, and by the time you parse it down into half square triangles, or, you know, tiny strips, or that kind of thing, I feel like you don't really get the full effect of the pattern, because you hardly get to see much of it. The great thing about a jelly roll quilt is you get to see the whole line, and you really get to see, okay, all right, Betsy, I'm going to open these seams up this time on this one. Let's just see. The problem with opening the seams for me is it does take you a little bit, you know, you gotta go a little bit slower, because you gotta get the seam open. Right now I'm going slower because I'm at the twist. Introverts unite. Oh, no. Stuff off the edge of the fabric. I just sewed off the edge of the fabric. Look, you can't see the seam, but I just went right off the edge. Okay, do over. Start over there. Yes, I'm a total introvert. Totally. I am perfectly happy, and Steve for the most part is too. I'm perfectly happy with Steve and Minnie and my books, my sewing peeps. My crocheting, my house, doing stuff in my house. We're not like big party people. We're not big crowd people. We go to things, but you know, some people have to have a bunch of other people around them. Right? That just gives me, ooh. Doesn't work for me. Okay, you're a hoot. I do have that problem though, is that I'll take my eyes off for a second, but I don't lift my foot off the presser foot, and so I just keep sewing. Criminy. Yeah. When they invented seam rippers, they were anticipating me. I crochet too. I love crochet. I was talking about it yesterday. I wish I've got to figure out a way to get some more time in for crochet, to make more time for it, because my problem is I've gotten back into reading so heavily, a lot, really, that when I have free time, I'm typically reading. And, you know, reading, working, or sewing, or taking care of my family. And in the evenings, you know, we will go and sit outside for a little bit after dinner and watch TV. Not really TV. No, it's just kind of brain dump, where I'll read. Read, or I'll watch a Downton Abbey episode, and then, you know, we come in and kind of get ready for bed and wrap the day up. And I've got to make some time for crocheting because I miss it, and I'm quite the yarn haul. My neighbor Edna, I promised I was going to send a link to our channel too. She doesn't quilt, but she crochets. She's writing, and I think she's in her 70s, just writing her first book, which is also a hoot. It's also something I'd like to do, is write a book. I like to write multiple books, but again, you know, right now, and probably for this year, the priority has really been a lot of work. Oh, Betsy, you're right. You don't need to worry about the twist. If you end up with a twist, just keep adjusting it until you get to the very, very end. When you cut it at the end, it's going to resolve the twist. I told you guys, please don't come here with huge anticipation of. Sorry. Right? You don't need to cut it in the middle of your sewing. What would make me think that you needed to keep cutting it if you had a twist? Just wait till the end. It's amazing. I managed to get through dinner. Okay. Still digging those. That Waterloo, I told you guys the other day. Excuse me. Waterloo has that new. There's 2 or 3, I think 3 new flavors out for summer. What is that? Spicy mango sorbet. It's not spicy. I don't know what way. It's like just tastes like mango sparkling water to me. But it's good. I gotta try. I want to try the blueberry one. I should have gotten some of that yesterday. And I think after this, I'm trying to figure out now. I gotta rearrange my day because I overslept. My problem is I don't have 8 arms. Amen, sister. If I did all my projects would get done. I know. quilting, knitting, crocheting, needlepoint, cross stitch. I've been to all of it. I really want to do I don't know if it's cross stitch or needlepoint. I'm not sure I 100% know the difference between cross stitch and needlepoint. That quarter shop, can't remember her name. Becky? Anyway, the woman over at Fat Quarter Shop does quilting, and then does she do cross stitch? I think she does cross stitch. They're just amazing. And I've been but I don't have, again, I need to practice. I need to get some, they have those little, like, you can buy those, like, tutorial kits on, like, Amazon or Quilt Shop or Needlepoint Shop or whatever, where it kind of helps you, you practice the stitches. Because my stitches are just all over the place. Some of them are 1/8 of an inch, and some of them are 2 inches in the same line. I just don't seem to have a lot of control, and so I need to watch some more videos because I would really like to do that. And I think that would be the kind of thing. Part of my issue with crochet right now is a lot of my projects are halfway done, like they're blankets, and they're at the point where they're kind of too big to take in the car. And so I thought, oh, well, maybe cross stitch or needlepoint would be, like, maybe that would be the kind of thing that would be a little bit easier to take in the car, and it wouldn't take as much space. Like, in order for me to take some of my crochet stuff in the car, you've got a skeiny yarn. You have part of the project that's already been done. It's stuff all over the place. And Minnie insists on sitting in my lap, so I know, kind of first world problems, isn't it? Anyways. Okay. Anyway, I'm glad I brought that up because that really is, like, that's why I love quilting. So, and it's why I love this project, especially if you have, my problem sometimes is, I really, really love that pattern. I don't want to use it. I don't know how much sense that makes. Cross stitch is cross stitch. X stitches is cross stitch. Line stitches is needlepoint. So what she does over at Fat Quarter Shop must be needlepoint. Because she does all kind of stitches, I think. Look at that thing. Yeah, I think we're almost at the end. Anyway, if you guys weren't here today with me while I do this, I'd probably have Downton Abbey going. Just sucked me right in. I went and saw the movie a few years ago, the first movie that came out. And I liked it, but I never really took to the show. And we don't have all those different channels, that it's on and blah, blah, blah. So, you just don't watch a lot of TV. Really don't watch much at all. But something happened, and I thought, oh, I'll watch one. I'll watch a little bit. And so I did subscription to BritBox, and I really am enjoying it. I think they're very funny. I love the storylines. I like that there's not a lot of there's a lot of intrigue and there's a lot of, you know, stuff going on and, you know, little mysteries and that kind of thing. But I like that they're pretty wholesome. And I think that there's not enough of that in TV anymore. Everybody has to keep pushing the envelope. Pushing the envelope, pushing the envelope, you know, talking about all manner of things that, you know, you don't necessarily, we just don't have to. I don't know. I don't want to get in a soapbox. I don't want to get in a soapbox, but that's my soapbox. I'm telling you, this quilt will just all of the ideas and thoughts and everything you're dealing with, it's just gonna bubble right out. So I think what I'm going to do, I got to reorganize my day now. I think I'm going to marinate the flank steak. I got to take Minnie for a walk, so we'll go do that. And then I'll just do the ironing tonight. Unless, of course, one of you could be persuaded to come over. Okay, let's see. Have you watched Keeping Up Appearances? No, but I think I will. Because I'm open to it. Because I'm already well into season 5 of Downton Abbey. And then what am I going to do? It's going to be all over. So, okay, Keeping Up Appearances, that's going to go on the list. I wish I could type. Okay, here we go. I think we're so close to the end. So take me for a quick while. Marinate the flank steak. And then I gotta go work on the taxes. The ironing and the store will have to worry. Okay, I will definitely try that. Let's see, Keeping Up Appearances. I'm in. And I am almost done. I mentioned this yesterday. I'm almost done with The Covenant of Water. I don't think I quite have 100 pages left. I read a little bit last night. And then, Famous Last Words by Jillian McAllister. Jillian, I think that's it. Jillian, I think it's McAllister. That's her new book. Famous Last Words is I think what I'm going to read next. and everybody says it's really good. I've read a couple of her books. I really like her stuff. Wrong Place, Wrong Time. Very, very good. Very good. Gotta pay attention. Got to pay attention. But very good. And then this is her new Famous Last Words is her newest release. And then I've got a bunch of books. I'll probably do it. Honestly, after I do Famous Last Words, I'll probably do a Patterson, maybe a Women's Murder Club, something a little bit kind of a palette cleanser, something a little lighter. Before I do maybe another Robert Gilbreth, something else big. I have a couple of those, mega books right now that are in my bookshelf that, you can't really read them back to back. You just can't. Oh, that's what somebody else, that was my other comment. Somebody said, oh, just do the audiobook. Just do audiobooks, and then you could, crochet and read, crocheting and reading at the same time. I know. And I do audiobooks, but I do audiobooks after I read the book. I like to read the book. Read the book. Read with my eyes. And everybody does. It's okay. I love audiobooks too. But I like to read the book first. Okay. Betsy, how you doing, babe? I'm almost to the end. Are you? She's probably way ahead. And see where I'm at with my father. And as Betsy predicted, oh, no twist! I actually didn't end up with a twist. Not bad. Not bad. And other than sewing off the side at that one point, I think I'm getting pretty good with my seams too. She's getting there. It'll take you a bit. And if you just keep going, row after, keep going through the whole thing. I don't care how good your chair is; it'll take your toll on your fanny. Speaking of chairs, I am still totally in love with my. Okay, so when I get to the end, totally in love with my Aero chair. Totally. Oh, my back's a little tweaky today. Totally in love with my Aero chair. Totally. We'll put a link in the. I'd be further along if I didn't stop and type. I know it's the only advantage of being the host. Love my Aero chair. I'll have to see we have a link you can go to. You can see all the different stuff. If you are interested in an Aero chair, you can buy through that link. You pay the same price. They do give us a small commission, but it doesn't cost you any more or any less for the chair. It's the same price for you for the chair. If you find you like. But at any rate, you can click on there and see the different types of chairs and styles and fabrics and that kind of thing. Okay. Now, it's like having a snake in the room. And now we start over. Oh, jeez. Okay. So now I'm at the end, right? I didn't quite sew it together, although I don't know that it really matters. But I left about a 1/2 inch, enough to get a pair of shears through there. Okay, so that's the end. I sewed one end to the other. Now you're just gonna go in and cut it in half. And now you have 2 rows together. See? Now you're just gonna do the exact same thing again. You go back and find the other end. Oh, convenient, there it is. Go back and find the other end. And I find that at this point, once you've got the first kind of set done, you may as well just put it on the floor because, or wherever, if you got a big table or something, because it's going to start getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Okay. Now, I think, thinking about my last jelly roll piece, I think this makes about a lap quilt type size, something like that, something along those lines. Take the 2 ends, and now we're just going to sew that right sides together. I don't press or do anything at this stage. It's all about just kind of, you're going to go back, and I go back and press at the very end. But now I just take this row, take these 2 ends, sew them together all the way to the end, right? And once you get to the end, you're going to cut it in half. You're going to cut at the end, and you'll have 4 rows. And you absolutely keep doing that until you, I think until you get to the size you want. I'm trying to remember how I knew when to stop. I don't remember. Okay, so we've been on for a while. I gotta go marinate this flank steak. I had so much fun today with you guys. I had so much fun. I'm so glad that you are here. And please remember to like, subscribe, and share the channel. Megatron, it's 1 a.m. here. Oh my gosh. Oh, thanks for hanging in there. Oh my gosh, how awesome. Share the channel. And like Betsy said, this is our new quilt guild. I'm so excited that you guys took the time to come and quilt with me today. Gosh, I'm just a mess. We'll be back tomorrow. And I think tomorrow I will sew some more on this quilt. I think tomorrow we'll do like 2 more rows of this so that we can get the Jelly Roll Race quilt done. I'm so excited to see a picture of Becky's quilt. I'm so excited. I can't believe it. I'm so glad that she came and did her first time quilt here. Thank you to all of you that commented. Prep Fraternity Homestead, Alex, Madeline Diaz, Sandra, Megatron. Love it. Just absolutely love it. We'll do a live for the next 30 days, maybe once a week, maybe on Sundays. I don't know. Let me kind of roll it around in my head. But I think maybe on Sundays we'll just do the video live because I have a blast. And if you can't make the live, come and see the replay. Anyway, have a fantastic enjoyed it as always. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Prepped for Eternity Homestead. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And we'll see you this week. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share. And remember, only a 1/4 inch seam. Have a great Sunday and a great start to your week, everybody. Love you. Bye.